Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I am here today to explain the difference between photopolymer and cling stamp sets. In case anyone is new to stamping or isn't real familiar with the two different stamp sets that Stampin' Up offer, I'll start with photopolymer. This is our beautiful friendship stamp set. And photopolymer is a clear, flexible plastic material. It's see-through, and so when you use it, you can take your photopolymer stamp and put it on your block. And then when you add ink to this stamp, you can see through it, so you can see where you're lining it up on your paper. And if there's any two-step stamping, you will be able to see to line up exactly where you want your second layer to go. So that's photopolymer. Now, not every stamp set comes in the photopolymer. We have other stamp sets that are cling stamp sets, and these are red rubber stamp sets. When you get a new stamp set, it will come like this as a whole sheet of red rubber, and you punch out the different shapes. And the stamp set also comes with a sheet of labels. And I wanted to show you how to put these on. So I'm going to pop out one of the stamp set. Now what I like to do is I pop out all the stamps, and then I keep the red rubber in the stamp case so that I can see at a glance if I'm missing a stamp. Some people like to take all the stamps out and then throw this outer piece away. It's totally up to you. Now, Stampin' Up! Has provided us with these label sheets so that you can adhere them if you want to use them. You don't have to. You can take your red rubber stamp and flip it over, and it does have a backing on it. So you definitely want to take this off and set it aside. I'll tell you in a minute why you might want to hold on to it. And then this you can stick right to a stamp block, and it will hold. It's not going anywhere, but you can't really tell what this image is. So that's what your labels are for if you want to use them. Some people prefer to leave the labels off. They find them very sticky. Some people find them difficult to work with, but I'm going to show you a tip that I've used to sort of make things easier. And the reason I said that you might want to keep this backing piece is if you are stamping and you want to mask your image, meaning if I wanted to stamp these beautiful little girls from the stamp set, but then I wanted to perhaps stamp this line around them, I would take this piece of backing and simply cover the image that I've already stamped on the paper, so I could use this as a mask. I actually heard this tip recently, and it's a great idea if you've still got all these pieces. So something you can keep in mind if you want. So what you need to do to adhere your labels is take your red rubber stamp, and you've already peeled the backing on this piece off. Find the stamp that you're working with on the label sheet. And each of these labels have a covering on them, and they have a two-piece backing. So what I like to do is I peel off one piece. It doesn't really matter which section that you peel off. And then what I do is I take my stamp, red rubber side up, and I match it to the side that still has the protective covering on. These labels are a bit unforgiving. If I were to drop this and then I would try to peel it off, it would actually tear the rubber. That's why some people prefer to leave the stickers off. Depending on the stamp, sometimes I like the label so I can tell exactly where I'm stamping and what I'm stamping. So it's really up to you. But as I said, I've got the left side here still on. So I angle my stamp so that I'm not touching the sticky part of the label at all. And I line up the shape. And I can use the outline of the stamp to do so. And then once I'm pretty confident I have the stamp where I want, I hold it down and then let the other side drop and press it down. And then I can peel this off the label shape or label sheet, And then I have my label here, and I lift up about halfway. You don't want to fold this completely back on itself. This label will stick to itself. I learned that through trial and error. And then peel off the other side of the label. If my fingernails would cooperate here. There we go. And typically I just carefully let this drop back into place. And then I have my label on my stamp. Sometimes I find sentiments are the hardest to line up, but if you're just patient, usually you can get them to work. And then I can take my stamp with the label on it and adhere it to the block. And this is not going anywhere for sure. It's just these labels are super sticky, and we recommend not leaving your stamps on the blocks for too long. If I'm just going to use this stamp and peel it off, it typically comes off pretty quickly. Now, if I were to leave it on there overnight, I might have a little bit of trouble getting the stamp off the next day. Now, there's two options you can use to prevent that from happening. Some people like to take a little piece of washi tape, maybe put a loop on the end, and before they put the stamp on the block, they simply put the washi tape loop underneath and then press it down. Just a little bit of washi tape. You don't want anything big and bulky dipping into your ink pad, and you will need to check and make sure that you haven't dipped that washi tape in your ink before you go to stamp. I'd hate to see you ruin your project, but that way you can simply lift the washi tape up and it helps you remove the stamp from the block. But there is another way. If you have a take your pick tool from Stampin' Up, the spatula end is very handy for removing the stamps from the block, because you can simply take it and very gently lift the stamp. You can get between the block and the label and then peel up enough of it so that you can pull with your fingers. And that's just a very quick tutorial on the differences between the photopolymer stamp sets and the red rubber cling sets and how you adhere the labels. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me either on Facebook through The Faithful Stamper or comment here on this video, and I'll be happy to get back to you. And if you need any stamping supplies, you can visit my website at thefaithfulstamper.stampinup.net. If you do not have a demonstrator you're currently working with, I would be happy to send you a paper catalog in the mail. So I hope you enjoyed that quick tutorial. Take care and happy crafting.